All right, so I'm kind of dreading this. Doing brakes in the combine today. So last year we blew a brake line on the left-hand side here. So I spliced a new section in with a compression fitting. It was rubbing. Drop the phone. It was rubbing right there, and I kind of cut that line too long, so it is resting on that tab, but threw something under it so it won't rub through. But it was rubbing right there on another line and blew a hole in the brake line. So basically what happened was I replaced the line, went to go bleed the wheel cylinder, which is right here, that one, and the bleed screw was stripped out of it, so I couldn't get it bled. And then when I put an extractor on it, tried welding a nut to it, and it just snapped the bleed screw off. So that was fun. I ended up putting a new, I got a used cylinder from Wanger's. I put a new rebuild kit in it. It seems to be working now, but I still didn't really have any brakes, so I went to adjust them, which you do by turning the screws, that screw right there. And then that one there snapped off. So now I got to pull the housing off and replace the yoke rod for it. So we're doing that today. And these 4400s as well as the 4420s, and I would imagine the 3300s are known for having garbage brakes from the factory. It's a different style brake system than like the 6600s, the 6620s, up to like the 8820s. Those have like a truck drum brake on them. This here is just like a disc, and it sucks. It doesn't work at all. So to get a little bit more braking power out of it, I'm thinking that the discs are glazed over from it sitting so long before I got it, because the brakes never really worked even when I got it. So I'm going to pull the housing off and score up we're going to score up the brake pads, see if they might have to get replaced. I have no idea. So tear into that. Luckily it's on the left side here, easier to get to, but if I'm gonna do this, I might as well do the other one too. It looks like it's just those 3 bolts right there. I'm gonna pull, let's see, those 3 bolts. That housing should come off. I think I'm going to pull this shaft. Basically it's just that roll pin right there. I'll knock that roll pin out on both couplers, take this shaft off, and then I should be able to slide that housing right off. And then basically as you apply the brakes, that yoke rod gets pulled and it turns a plate inside there between 2 brake discs. There's like balls in there, so as that rotates forward, the balls push the plates apart into the brake discs, and that pushes them out into the housing, and that stops the combine, is what it's supposed to do. So yeah, start pulling this apart, see how we make out. All right, so shafts right there, the 2 couplers on the end. Fought me a little bit. This side here came right off, no problem. Once I got the roll pins out, roll pins came out, no problem too. This side here fought me a little bit. I had to give it a couple good taps with the hammer, pry it out, but it went. I should also say, when you're doing this, make sure you chalk the wheels up if you're on a hill. You should chalk it anyway. I got some blocks of wood in front of the front tires. But so now what I'm gonna do is the brake cylinder there has got to come off. See if I can get you without the light shining on it. The brake cylinder right here is going to come off. I don't want to just, I could leave it on there and just undo the brake line, but then I'm going to lose all the brake fluid that's in the reservoir, so I don't really want to do that, and then I have to bleed everything again. It's kind of a pain in the ass by yourself, so I'm going to see if I can, there's 2 Allen screws, one here and one here, so I'm going to take those Allen screws off, pull the springs off, and then hopefully I can just push that off to the side a little bit and get it out of the way so that I can take these 3 bolts off here. These 3, I think they're 3/4 inch heads. So take those off and then clean up the housing, and then it should come right off, is what I'm hoping is going to happen. So we'll see how that plays out. So here's where we're at. I got the brake cylinder off. It's real important to remember that when you pull these screws off, these are you're going to need a 3/16 Allen socket to get these off. But make sure you take a pick and clean out the head of the bolt, because if you don't have the socket in there all the way, you will strip it out. And it's not a bad idea to heat this up. I had to do that with the bolt that was in here. It came out, I was going to strip the head off. It was in there pretty good. So, but I got the wheel cylinder off and pushed that over there. These are all, I think I mentioned that, 3/4 bolts. So I'm pretty certain that I am ready to pull this housing off. I'm going to set you up somewhere. Maybe right here. That'll work. I took a scraper, I cleaned all this off too, so it doesn't fall into the housing when I pull this. I already had these cracked as well, so. Knocking you around here. I should have bought a seal for that housing and I didn't. So hopefully that seal's all right. Oof. Was not expecting that. I think these are supposed to be dry brakes, so that's all water. Yeah, I think these are supposed to be dry brakes. So the fact that that just happened, it's not good. And I don't think you saw it because the accumulator's in the way. But a bunch of waters came out of that hole there. Where else can I set you up here so you can see? Really got to get like a magnet mount or something like that. Oh, or just flip the camera around like I had it before I knocked down the ground. Well, you can see the water running out of here, so some water definitely got in there. I really got to go through this before I go down the road. I'd like to drain, I think I drained the final drives last year, because the first year running this, I had water in the transmission, and I should have done a better job going through it, and I didn't. But I never drained the tranny out or changed the fluid. Should have done that. But there was so much water in the tranny that it literally froze. And I went to go drive it on a cold day. I went to go move it across the field or something, and I couldn't get the damn thing to move. I had it, I think it was locked in gear. I put it in like first gear or whatever, so it wouldn't roll. And I couldn't get it out of first, and I went to go fire it up, and I was smoking the belts because the transmission was literally frozen solid. Do I have my pry bar out here? Of course not. I'm going to pause you real quick so I get my pry bar. We're back. Let's try this pry bar here. Cummins brand pry bar, piece of shit. It's pretty soft. I don't think it's gonna. Oh yeah, it's just bending. It's a quality purchase off the Mack truck. There's not really any good way to pry this. Tappy tap. Yeah, where can I get a pry bar on at this thing? There we go. Just barely caught that lip. So yeah, like I was saying, I'm 95% sure that these are dry brakes. So if I'm wrong, we're about to find out, but I'm pretty sure they're dry brakes. worst case scenario, they're not. I'm about to get covered. There we go. See if I can slide this off here. Oh, the whole shaft's coming with it. That's not really what I want. Just knock you on the ground. I'm gonna pause you till I get this off. I ended up getting it out. I couldn't get that shaft out of the housing, so I just took the shaft with it. I don't think it really matters. So that's hanging there. I forgot to pull the emergency brake cable off of the bracket, so that's what I'm doing right now. It's two 9/16 nuts. I got them sitting right there, and I'm hoping that this will just pull. There's like an end. Well, you can't see with that friggin' wheel cylinder sitting there, the brake cylinder. So this end right here, it's like an acorn shape, so it won't fit through there. So I got to pull the cable through. It's kind of stuck. So let's see if I can get that out. There we go, got it out. It was just this thing right here. It was just a pain in the ass to do it with one hand. So, all right, parking brake cable's off, so I should be able to pull this housing right out. There's a good bit of that transmission oil. Gonna have to change that. I thought I know I changed it when I drained the water out of it, but maybe there's enough water left in there from what I was talking about before, and it's all kind of gloopy and shit. It's pretty gross looking. So I'm probably gonna have to drain that back out. But I'm kind of worried about. I don't know if that was. It doesn't look like it was leaking into the housing. It might have just been whatever was on the shaft. I don't know. Anyway, I'm gonna pull this out real quick. All right, got it out. Sorry for the lack of light. My friggin' trailer light is not working for whatever reason. So you can see right here, that right there is a broken bolt, broken yoke nut, or the yoke rod, whatever. This is the other half of it. So basically what I'm gonna do is pull that pin right here. That should come out, and then I can pull these discs out, clean them up. They do look pretty glazed, so what I'm gonna do is take some sandpaper and clean these up. You'll see once I get it apart what I gotta do. The actuating mechanism behind that is gonna come out too. I'm gonna clean those balls up that push the brake discs out so that it moves nice and freely, and get all this grease and everything else out of here too. It's pretty gross. So once I get this pulled apart, I'll show you what we got going on. Man, nice sunset out there. All right, so here's where we're at. Just got back from TJ's house. I threw all this stuff in the parts washer to clean this up because it was so caked with grease and grime and everything else that I was gonna have to throw like 10 cans of brake cleaner at it. Obviously his parts washer isn't that great because I still have to clean it up when I get home. But basically where we're at is these discs are pretty worn. There's still some life left in it. They're not great, but they're not smoked either. A new disc from John Deere I saw was like $200. If I'm gonna do both sides, you're looking at $800. And it's like, do I really want to put $800 worth of brakes in this thing when, I mean, I should, but I'm also only going, like, as long as it stopped somewhat decent, I'm not too worried about it. So I don't know, I might see if I can clean these up and scuff the surface up. I know a lot of guys will do that. So maybe just scuff the surface so that it grabs a little bit better. Throw the new seals in it so that I don't have to worry about it happening again. And then it'll be off to the races. This is your brake actuator right here. This is what snapped off. So basically, when you hit the brakes, this gets pulled up. When that gets pulled up, there's little balls in the center here. There's one right there you can barely see. Basically, these will split apart, and there's like a little groove cut in there with a offset groove or whatever you want to call it. Basically, it will spread this out and push against the brake discs, and the brake discs go up against the machined housing here on this and the transmission, and that's what stops the combine. So yeah, I got to get a seal for this for both sides. I can't really see anything. I think that's the seal. I think that is it right there. It's got to be it, yeah. I wonder what that is. I wonder if that's is it just an O-ring? Oh yeah, there's nothing left. Nothing left of that seal. Yep. So, yeah, I guess I'm going to get a seal coming for it. And then I will throw it all back together next week. And we'll go from there. And then hopefully, I know the other side is a lot worse to do, because from what I read, when you go to pull the brake housing off, granted, this wasn't, I mean, I didn't think it was a bad job at all. I kept having people come down and talk to me, so I kept getting sidetracked, but they say that it will hit the bell housing. So, I mean, I'm not going to jump down there, but yeah, they say it'll hit the bell housing. And actually, it's probably smart to pull this pulley off here. And I noticed a little bit of a hum, not like the other day when I had it running, so maybe I'll do that bearing too while I'm in there. But that's what I'm worried about, is just getting this housing off. They say you just got to position it a certain way and it'll come out, but I don't know. So that's where I'm at right now. I guess when I get the seal and I start putting it all back together, I'll just tack it onto this video. So, but for right now, I'm going to clean up, get all my tools out of here, and we're going to head back up to Connecticut. All right, we're back in the garage here. So I have the brake actuating assembly. I just knocked this pin out that had the broken yoke rod. I had to cut that off so I could punch this through because it was seized in there. So as I was punching it through, it was opening up that yoke. So I ended up got new seals. That's the part number there, AH19842. 2 of them for the rod, so they'll keep the oil out of the brake housing. I also went ahead and I'll leave that there. So I was looking at these brake discs, and I was like, you know what? If we're going this far in, might as well replace them. I couldn't find the spec for what the, what the tolerances are, because there are still some meat on this. But what I ended up doing was, I think I had said before that they were like $100 to $200 a piece, those brake discs. But they were actually $82 a piece. I went back and looked, and then I found on Tractor Parts, it's either Allstate Tractor Parts or Tractor Parts ASAP, something like that. I found brake discs for $20 a piece, so I bought 4 for both sides. And compared to this, these aren't that bad, but these here are pretty oil soaked. So I figured it was just better off getting rid of them. So I got new discs going in tomorrow when we go over there. So what I'm planning on doing right now is pulling this apart so we can get a look inside this. I'm going to clean up this actuator, pull the springs off, grease the balls up that are in here, see if they're like rusted up or whatever. I'll smooth I'll take the corrosion off of them, all the rust and shit that I'm sure is on there, and then go from there. Alright, so I just pulled this apart. These are the balls I was talking about. They got to get scuffed up, cleaned up for sure. These are the grooves I was talking about. So as this actuates, they'll go up that ramp there. Call it a ramp, I don't know, whatever, call it whatever you want. But then as that rolls up this expands out and pushes it against the brakes. So when I pulled these springs off, these little springs here, this one was snapped in half. So I don't know if I see if I can run it with just the 3 springs, or the 2 springs rather. I really don't want to wait because I'm already behind the ball trying to get this harvest in. Maybe I'll run it with the 2. I mean, like I said before, this is pretty easy coming apart. So maybe I'll run it with the 2 and then just pull this off after. And put the other spring back in it. If I was thinking right, I would have ordered all new springs for it. And probably got new balls too, but I don't know. So probably gonna do that. Just run the 2 springs, or see if I can. Maybe I'll run down to the parts store tomorrow and see if I can get something that'll match that. I doubt that very strongly. But yeah, so we're gonna clean this up, scuff these babies up, and throw it back together. So I took the my wire wheel on my grinder and went over both sides. This is the side here that's going to contact the pad, so I scuffed that up good. Balls, I ended up, I had some parts cleaner. I don't know if that's, well, it cleaned them up pretty decent, so I just left those in there for an hour. So that's going to sit on there just like that. That'll get flipped over. So then you just hook your springs back on there. Yeah, I'm not going to put this back on. Well, I'll see what it does with 2 springs on it. Hopefully it works. Just because I really got to get going on the corn here. We got snow coming. Not a lot, but we got snow coming next week. So I don't really want to run the combine on the road in the salt. So I'm just going to throw it together, and that way there I don't have to worry about it, get the corn off in that field, and then if it doesn't work or the brakes are dragging or something, I can pull it off after the fact, because the corn I have sitting over at Escobar's there is still probably pretty wet, so I can park the combine for a couple weeks and pull this back apart if I have to. I just want to make sure I have brakes to go down the road. So I'm going to put this back on here, the yoke rod. And then we'll have this all together. Alright, so I got this all assembled, 2 discs, the actuator. The only thing I'm going to have to do to it tomorrow is put the cotter pin in right there, because I had a box of them somewhere, I can't find them. So I'll have to go buy a set of Ace or something tomorrow. I got new nuts for it too. So this is pretty much ready to go, 98%, to throw back in the combine, and then just throw that wheel cylinder on there, bolt everything back down, parking brake, and then you have to adjust this with a feeler gauge, because if you have it too tight when you go to hit the brakes, well, actually, not even when you hit the brakes, I think they'll heat up, and then you hit the clutch in, you'll spin the combine around if they're not adjusted right, is what I've read online. So, got my feeler gauge ready to go tomorrow. So we're in good shape. So hopefully this will go nice and easy, and I can work on the other side. The other side is going to be a bit of a bitch. Everyone says there's no way to get it out because you're going to hit the bell housing. I believe I showed you that the other day. So I'm sure you just have to rotate it a certain way to get it out. We'll see how we make out with that when we get to it. All right, back at the combine. I got the seal kind of set in place right now. I pulled the old one out, obviously. Also took the wire wheel on the grinder and hit the disc here, because that's the other side of the housing that, or I guess not the housing, but you know, it's what the brake disc goes up against there on the inside. So I'm gonna pop that in, the seal, and then should be good to go to start putting the housing back on and tighten everything down. And then I can start on the other side. I'm probably not gonna show you anything on that side except for maybe what orientation you need to pull that housing off, because like I said, that side there's a lot harder to do because the bell housing is there for the transmission. So I'll probably show you that, but we're gonna mainly focus on this side. All right, shaft's back on, the springs are on, just got to adjust it. Should be good to go.